Hello and welcome to the EntreQueerNeur Show with Asa Leveaux. This is your divinely queer host, Asa Leveaux, and I'm definitely ecstatic and excited that you have made the choice, and a very wise one, may I say so myself, a very wise choice to join us while we co-create this experience today. If you have no idea about the EntreQueerNeur Show, please know, first off, you made a good choice. You are in the right place at the right time. And it doesn't matter if you're LGBTQ plus or not. You still made the good choice. If you're not, we just thank you for being an ally. We appreciate the fact that you are here and that you understand that there is divinity in the way we were born. Not in the way that we choose, but in the way that we were born. So thank you for that. And if you are a part of the LGBTQ plus family, I just appreciate you here. I appreciate you showing up, tuning in, and knowing what's available on this episode. And on this episode is all about the ability to tell your story. Some of us have remarkable stories. And then the people who don't think they have remarkable stories, they have remarkable stories and just don't know it. So I am very joyful that we are going to be talking about how to tell your story, how to tell your story in book form, the reason why the world will be made better as a result of you doing the work, taking the action, taking the steps to put your story on paper, put your story in audio form, putting your story in video form, because there is somebody out there in the world that is a younger version of you. And the same way that you would tell, your 13-year-old self a certain thing, your 8-year-old self a certain thing, well, guess what? There's an 8-year-old or a 13-year-old out there that is waiting to hear those words so you can help them now, the way you felt that you weren't helped or you weren't assisted. And the person that's going to help us today is a very cool, energetically divine human by the name of Angel Davis, who I've had the joy of meeting this year. And I believe that she is going to support you in your next, especially when it comes to sharing your story, making sure that it's done well, and also possibly being able to make money from it. So without further ado, Angel, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I always check in when people ask me that, so I never just say fine. Let's see. How am I doing today? I am feeling the joy of what it is to breathe and live and create effortlessly.
I like it.
Good. Glad you do. But I
was thinking about effortlessness yesterday.
Oh, good. And we are syncopated on that, because I remember a time when people didn't ask me how I was. I went through a whole little span of time where that was not real. And so now I never take it for granted. I always check in, because sometimes we, go on social media and we're like, nobody ever checks on me. I'm like, no, They checked on you. You did not take the question literal. You just, glossed over it. That was a real check-in. So I always take advantage of when someone does that. So thank you. We're going to do, of course, part of my interview process is we start something very, very surface to get things going. So what I would like to know about you is, who was your first crush?
Wow, my first crush. My first crush was this guy named Lachey when I was in first grade. He was my first crush, and
Oh,
he bought me a monster
oh,
truck pencil.
oh.
Yeah, that was a big thing. You remember those pencil machines back in the day in elementary school? So it was a big deal. He spent a whole quarter for me. So he
That
was
is
my
a big
first
deal.
crush. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Lachey.
based on how your crush was in first grade, how do you still get those same feelings of a crush that you may have now, or a crush is even a thing in your world now?
Oh yeah, it's a thing in my world now. I have celebrity crushes. I love Ice Cube. He just do it for me. I crush on him. I want my ashes sprinkled like in his yard. And I have a huge crush on Queen Latifah. She's my woman crush. So crushes definitely exist now. As far as people I can actually obtain, um, if you tell me that you're a nerd, you might have a chance. I might have a crush on you.
Oh, so nerds do it.
Yes, nerds do it for me, and foodies.
Oh, and foodie. So I am not a foodie. What is, and I don't, I think I understand it, but I think because I grew up not liking so much, like I don't like nuts, I don't like bananas, I don't like cheese. I'm doing my best to be vegan, so all, dairy products and meat products are out the window. So yeah, I just don't think I was created to be that
And that's okay
at
because I
all.
was.
Like, like at all. So with your love of nerds, is there a direct correlation with you helping people tell their stories?
I believe it is. I think everybody has a little bit of nerd in them. For me, a nerd is somebody who is always wanting to learn more. And when people are writing their stories, they still learn about themselves, even though it's their story. So to see people
Hmm.
want to know more about themselves and to grow, that does it for me.
So
I just
when people do come to you, do they really know that that's what they want to do, or do they come and say something totally different? And in your mind, you're like, I know what you want. You want to write a book.
they say something totally different, and I'm like, you want to write a book?
So what do people usually say?
They usually say, hey, I just want you to look over this and give me some suggestions. And so that's what I do. And then they'll come back and they say, you know what? I just want you to work with me the rest of the way because I really need to do more with this.
Hmm. And when someone says they really want to work, do more, what exactly are you doing with them or for them?
I am helping them to first recognize the central theme or themes for the story. Um, and when people talk to me and work with me, I always see more than one book.
Hmm.
So what I find is that they want to put everything into one book, and I'm thinking bigger on a series scale. Like, no, this book, let's focus on this, and then the next one can be about that because that's important too. So what I do is help them first define whatever the theme is, and usually I'll discover that as I'm reading through it. Because I work with people who are writing memoirs, basically, and so I'll be able to pick up on what the central theme is. Like if something that keeps repeating, then I'm able to sense that, and that'll be the focus. And after that, I help them to flesh it out, and then I reorganize it from chapters and naming them and all of that. That's what I do. I'm a developmental editor.
So, you said the word memoir, and a lot of people that are, listening are under 40, under 30 even. So, when people think memoir, we're thinking about, people who have gray hair, white hair on the covers of these books. So if, some of us feel like we're too young to write a memoir, what do you say when you hit that rejection? Like, no, I'm too young to do something like that.
I ask them to just verbally talk to me, tell me your story.
And that's
Because
it.
when you
That's
think
all
about
it takes.
well, because people are able to talk about their life a lot easier than they can write about it. Writing
You have
about
a
it can
point.
seem intimidating. Like, I don't have anything really to say. My life's not that interesting. But when you can just talk about yourself and somebody's listening, that's different. And then you discover all
Very
kinds of
true.
experiences. Yeah.
Very true. Okay, so what made you want to help people do that? Like, were you on the playground in second grade, right? Like, tell me your story.
You know what? That there is some truth into what you're saying. I have always been a writer. I have always been that friend who everybody tells their stories to, and the mediator. So I've kind of always been doing this, but it didn't officially take off for me until about 2016, when a friend of mine, she says, "Hey, I just finished this book. I know you're into writing. Can you look at it for me?" Because I wasn't looking to do it as a business or anything like that. It's just people know me for writing. And so it was about 19 pages of a Google Doc, and I made some suggestions, and I said, "It's a little short. I think you should fill this in and fill this in," and, just doing my thing. And then she says, "You know what? You're right. I want to hire you as my editor." And that's how it started.
What, and did you know what you were doing back then?
In 26, yeah, I knew what I was doing in 2016 when this started. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I'm a writer by nature, and I was writing short stories in elementary school. Um,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh, you've been
my
fancy a long time.
yeah, my best memory is, when I first got a computer keyboard that hooked up to the TV. It was Tandy. I don't even know if you remember that brand, but I was
A
like,
keyboard that hooked to the. What was the point of a keyboard that hooked to the TV?
because I could type and see stuff on the screen, and I can't remember what happened after that because it was so long ago. But that was the first thing as far as electronics that I had to write on. And then when I first got a typewriter, listen, I would not come out my room. I was sitting there typing short stories all day.
Okay, you still got to help me with this whole. You said Yandy,
Tandy,
Handy,
Tandy. Yes,
Handy, and you saying
Tandy.
Tandy put a keyboard on the
Yes,
screen.
yes. That's what I had. Yes, and that's how I got my
Mm,
typing skills up, and
I
you
don't
know,
understand this. So the TV would be on, like
yes.
Designing Women would be on TV, and you would be typing,
No,
typing. Oh,
you had to put the TV on. What was it?
oh, one of
Channel
them old
3 or
TVs,
channel?
or
Yes, yes.
oh, the top
This
one you
was
type the
back.
U, and the bottom one you type.
This was way back in the day.
Okay, yeah, but back when Nintendo came out, you had to make sure your TV was on 3, or it
Yes.
wasn't gonna work. I don't know what that was
Or was it
about.
going to work? Yes. So the
Okay.
keyboard was something like that. Um, but I've just always been a writer and into all things words. I remember my first hardback book, which was Alice in Wonderland,
Ooh,
and
you got to read Alice in Wonderland?
yes, I was always an avid reader, and I read above my grade level. So my aunt bought me Alice in Wonderland, and it had some words in there that I did not know the meaning. And so I would ask her, "What does this mean, and what does this mean?" And she got tired of me asking her questions. So then she
Mm.
taught me how to use a big kid dictionary. like an adult dictionary.
Right.
And so that's how I learned how to really use a dictionary, was because my aunt wanted to not answer my questions.
Right. I totally get
Yeah.
that. But okay, so and I say you got to read Alice in Wonderland because that's one of the books that I have yet to read, and I shouldn't say you got to read it because it's not like I'm not a whole human being. Like I can go read the book, but I fell in love with the concept because I've heard present day philosophers do talks and lectures about the things, the layers of the Alice in Wonderland story, and about
Mhm.
how actually, though it had a childlike audience, there were so many adult concepts in the book, and even though I haven't watched the entire Disney version fully through, there is something about that doggone cat, that Cheshire cat, as
Yes.
well as the rabbit, when they are talking and they sound, at first glance they're talking in riddles, and then as you get older you like, that made real good sense.
Oh, yeah.
Like that made real good sense. So I've always been attracted to the idea, to the notion of the Alice in Wonderland story. So that's why I said, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. You got to read it so young.
Yeah, I was in elementary school when I
Well,
read that
good.
Alice in Wonderland. Yeah.
That's cool. So another part of who you are is someone who is an energetic doula.
Yes.
And the way that I see a doula, not to minimize doulas at all, but the way I see doulas in its most, I guess, natural form would be, a doula is a person that helps life enter this realm.
Yes.
And though you are an energetic one, it seems like you are just a doula, midwife for anyone that comes into your world, whether it be a story through a memoir or energy. Is that a safe assessment or no?
That is very accurate. When people hear the word doula, they mostly think of like a birth doula, the person who provides support and guidance to the mom during and after pregnancy. So when I call myself a sacred energy doula, that essentially means that I provide support to women who are going through some kind of change or some kind of struggle. And the sacred part of it is that I provide a safe place for them.
Mhm.
And all my life, that's been my role. I'm the safe place, which is why people are comfortable telling me their stories, comfortable telling me their problems, because I'm not going to judge them. And I'm just going to try to support them all the way through and help them reach whatever goal it is that they're trying to obtain.
Got it. So, and also, are you doing that mostly for women or those that identify as being a woman, or is that for everyone? Because, of course, with the notion of a doula, we think about that, being for women.
Mhm. Um, I have encountered men who said I've helped them, so I'm not closed to that. I just know that being, a woman, I better relate to women. So, but
Mhm.
I'm open to providing support and guidance to anybody because I can feel and read energy.
Okay. You say you read energy. To
Hmm.
somebody who doesn't know about that world, that sounds absolutely crazy. And I
It
say that
does.
because I can too. Like I can totally, and I don't know if it's through me being empathic. I don't know if it's something other than that. But when I say reading energy, I can literally I could sit next to a person, and this has happened. I have been in New York. I was staying with a friend in New Jersey, and I was headed on the PATH train into New York City, and I was sitting next to a stranger, and I literally wanted to tell them, it will be okay. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Mm.
I didn't. I didn't. Because my Oklahoma self saying that to New York people, I was like, maybe I shouldn't say that. And so I didn't.
Yeah.
But however, maybe I should have. But so that's how I see it. How do you see it when you say reading energy? Just for so someone who's listening that's not familiar with that term can understand.
Okay. A better term, a more familiar term would be empath. That's essentially what a person who's empathetic or who's an empath does. They have a knowing, of feeling. Like, you step into this room full of people, and it may look like everybody's happy, but something obviously happened before you got there. It's just a feeling. Or
Mm-hmm.
For people who may be listening who are more church cultured, discernment would be
Yes.
another word. You
Yes.
can just tell, like, something's
You
not
are.
right. I'm smiling, but I see behind the
Mm-hmm.
smile.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm glad you said that because yes, in the Christian tradition, yes, discernment would be a very true term, and so yes,
Mm-hmm.
discernment. Yes, that's it. Now, do you use that in your business? I'm always interested if people use the skills that were given from the divine into their
Mm-hmm.
business. So is it easy to say, you know what? You told me you want to write a memoir. You told me you want to tell your story. And based on how I'm feeling about you right now, this energy that I'm reading, I don't think this is going to work.
Definitely. I use that in my business because I have to have it when I'm working with true stories. It's not something people are making
Mm-hmm.
up. This is their lives. I wasn't there, but
Right.
I have to connect with them so that it places me there.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the book, there has been one voice, and that's the voice of the author. And there's no separation between where my work came in versus their words. It's just one voice. So essentially, I merge my energy with that of the person that I'm working with because I have to help them create the story to pull in readers just like me. So I have to like walk it out with them as if I were them or as if I was there. So I
And
have to tap into my empathetic side.
yes, totally. And okay, so let's just go through the steps. So somebody says, you know what, I'm just kind of interested in sharing my story. What do you think? And so they talk to you, and okay, they're like, does this really make sense? And then based on the energy you get from them, that's when you know. And also from their story. Now, have you ever had somebody come up to you and say, I'm interested in writing something, and they tell you a story, and you're like, this story ain't nothing? Or is it that people just need to know how to frame their stories?
They just need to know how to frame it because when people talk to me, I literally hear and see books. You know how people who draw, when they see colors and shapes when people talk? Well, for me, I hear books. I see books.
Oh,
So that's,
really?
yes.
That's
And
such a cool thing to me, to just listen to people talk and you see books just dropping out of people's mouths. Like, I think that's a cool thing.
well, I believe everybody has at least one. Okay, let's be honest. I believe everybody has multiple books.
Okay.
But I believe everybody should write at least one. because books leave a legacy.
Right, they do.
Books also provide connectedness to humanity, to each other, to humanity. I'm here in Texas, but my book could be, in China or any of these other places, but I'm here, but I'm still connected across the world.
Mhm. Very true.
So everybody has at least one that they could write, and I'm the person to help them write that.
Okay, so you have excited me about this for for other people. I think that one other thing is, people go into a library, into a, especially a big chain bookstore, and look at everything like, man, there's enough books. No one wants to hear what I have to say. Somebody's done already said it in one way or another. What do you have to say to those people?
Every book isn't for everybody.
Mhm.
Just like we have all the same like clothes, pair of pants. There's all kind of brands, but every brand isn't for everybody.
Mhm.
Um, and then I still tell them, even twins have a different set of fingerprints.
True.
So just tell it.
Very
Let's get
true.
her done, as we say in Texas. Let's get her done.
Exactly. So, just so the audience, the person that's listening, their brain is kind of like, okay, I wonder, do they call you? Do they send you an email? Do they send you a message? How do they actually know, like, that you could help them? Like, how do they reach you?
um, I'm a Facebooker. I know that people are on Twitter and Instagram, but I'm so old school now. How funny is that? Facebook is for old people, but I'm a Facebooker, and you can find me at Angel Cookie Davis on Facebook.
Okay, you said Angel Cookie Davis.
Yes,
Okay, so you say Angel and Angl, not Anj.
Angel Angel
Okay, got
Cookie
it.
Davis.
Okay. Now, before you go, now that you shared how to for them to get in touch with you, is there anything that sucks about what you've done, or is there a time that it really did suck, and you're like, I will never do this again? Or has it just always been as blissful as you're saying it has been?
It's always been good for me. I love to be in people's stories. Being a storyteller myself, I just love stories, and then for somebody to grant me the privilege of sharing their story with me, I always find it to be an honor. I take it very seriously, and I love it. And now with the addition of my spiritual practices to my work with writing, it's like another level.
Mhm.
And so sometimes the only bad thing is sometimes I may question myself because being intuitive, there's something you have to learn to trust is your intuition. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, but what if I'm a little off though? But then I get with my ancestors and we get it together real quick, like I was born to do this.
Indeed, indeed. And I think that's a really cool thing when you can really tune in. That I think Oprah often says that Maya Angelou said, that when we enter a room with 10,000,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that our ancestors are girding us and supporting us
Yes,
in
yes.
our endeavors. And so I like that you talked about, your ancestors, bringing them along for the ride. Because my thing is, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Mhm.
Like 10 generations ago, no matter who you are, what you're doing, they literally could not fathom the type of life, the type of joy, the type of access, what's going on that you're seeing right now. Just the fact that, what is a podcast? Like the
Yes.
fact our ancestors are just blown away by us, and there's nothing wrong with tapping into that power. So, Angel, I really appreciate this conversation today. And for those of you who are listening, please know that I double dog dare you. Something that we used to do when I was little. I double dog dare you to reach out to Angel, just to see what it could be like to share your story with the world. Because I would ask you to just consider that someone's life could be impacted from you being transparent and open about what you lived and how you've lived. So, Angel, thank you for being on today on the EntreQueerNeur Show. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Most welcome. And for those of you who are listening still, please remember to give a review, write a review for us. We would love your 5 stars. We really, really would. And if there's any reason why we don't get 5, let us know what we can do to make this a 5-star experience for you. Please join our EntreQueerNeur Facebook family at family.asaleveaux.com. And as always, I am Asa Leveaux, dreams and blessings.